All right, guys, welcome back to Real Talk here with mOOnGLaDe. Now, before we really jump into kind of competitive gaming and your start, I do want to talk about yesterday's events in the WCS America round of 32 matches. Can you talk about your group at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, I would say it's probably not my best performance ever. Yeah, I was kind of disappointed with how I played those games. I feel like I wasn't very prepared for it at all. I had just come back from PAX the night before, so yeah. And before that, I've been traveling so much that I've been really feeling quite burnt out lately. So I wasn't expecting much against Tasia and Pulp, but I wasn't expecting to get taken out by XY2. So yeah, it was expected, but hopefully I can get back through the Challenger League again. We'll see.
How long
Very
do
disappointing.
how long do you have till the challenger matches? Have they given you a date yet?
Uh, I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. I honestly don't know how it works at all. Hopefully they give me a couple weeks, maybe a month. That'd
Sure.
be nice. But I'm sure. I think it'd probably happen sooner than later. I'm sure they finish out the challenges pretty soon. But yeah, I need to. I'm kind of just on break at the moment. Now that that's over, I'm kind of just. I have to take a break because it's killing me. I just can't play anymore at the moment. So I'm really taking a break for now,
How
and
much?
hopefully I can.
Oh, go ahead. Go
Hope,
ahead.
just hopefully I can get back into it. What are you gonna say?
How much like preparation did you put into it? I know you said you were at PAX, but I mean, a couple of hours, or because you came back
Uh,
from MLG, and then basically I think PAX was like right after that, was it not?
I had a couple of weeks between them, but getting over jet lag and trying to getting into a good state of mind and feeling healthy again kind of takes its time, especially from a trip from America. So I played probably about 200 games, I think, 150, 200, which is a decent amount, but doesn't really feel like it was enough. And yeah, obviously I had a like a 4 day break before my match, so I wasn't really rusty, but I just wasn't in a good place. And yeah, I just didn't. I played really bad, and I was so demoralized after losing first game against Pult. I was from that point on. I was pretty much just giving up. I felt like I played so bad game two, and I was just in the worst place.
Is it worth referencing kind of the time difference at all for that, or is that even a factor for you when it comes to playing those matches?
Um, it can be like they do pretty decent timing for non-Americans. It's about like 8 a.m. my time it starts. So I got up at like 6:30 a.m. So it's not the best, but it's definitely not the worst. It can be a lot worse. Like Challenger League qualifiers usually like start at 3 a.m. Australian time, which could not be a worse time for anyone. So I'm pretty grateful that Premier League is like that, and hopefully Challenger League is around the same time. Otherwise, I could be in a bit of trouble.
Well, we'll definitely kind of circle back to that in terms of some other issues with kind of being in Australia and playing in some of these international tournaments. But I do want to go back and just start with kind of your competitive gaming history. So,
Hmm.
what was really the first game that you took serious when it comes to being competitive on whether it was a like kind of a country wide level just in Australia, or if it was on a global level, or really what was that first game?
I think the very first game, I kind of played competitively. Well, not kind of competitively. I was kind of just like into laddering and custom gaming. Probably be StarCraft One vanilla. Now that I think way back into like year seven, year eight of my high school times, many years ago. That was probably the game that I did play a lot of, kind of competitively, but I wasn't really thinking about it competitively. I just wanted to win, so I was just having fun. And but it kind of I found esports later on down the track in Warcraft 3, and I kind of pursued that a bit more. But yeah, the very first game that I kind of just wanted to beat people at was StarCraft One Vanilla.
How good were you kind of compared to I guess other foreigners?
Uh,
Would you say that you could compete on a global level outside of Korea?
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so. I think I was too young and too naive back then. I didn't really understand much about what I was doing. I didn't understand Yeah, much at all. I was just playing for fun, but I could do well against a lot of Australians, especially in the vanilla scene, which was kind of random and small. But but yeah, I think if yeah, I was just too young to really deal with anyone. I mean, back in when I started playing Brood War years later, I probably could have done a little bit better. I probably could have competed with at least some people on the global scale, but yeah, definitely not with Starcraft
So,
vanilla.
so from StarCraft Vanilla, it went to Brood War. Um, did you
Yeah,
did you have any accolades during Brood War? Did you go to many tournaments, or did you just
I
simply
went
kind of play
to.
online?
There was one WCG qualifier in Brisbane that I went to, but I was like 15 and I didn't know anyone from the scene or anything like that. So I came along and I pretty much got smashed by like a Legionnaire or something. He's from my hometown. And yeah, that was pretty much the end of it. And then it kind of just went through high school playing Diablo 2 and until I reached Warcraft 3 when I was in senior year. And yeah, that was pretty much it.
Well, Warcraft 3 was definitely the game that you made a name for yourself in. Would you say that was correct?
Yeah, it was definitely the start of my esports career, and I definitely got a lot of traveling out of it. And I did, I met a lot of people overseas, and yeah, it was definitely the beginning of it all.
When you first kind of, I guess, played that, did you have a drive to kind of be competitive at it, or was it just a game that you picked up and were like, "Hey, this game's kind of fun. I'm enjoying the campaign. Let's see how the multiplayer goes."
I kind of had a plan going into it, like because Brood War had been out for so long, I felt like I could never be the best at it, or I could never be that good at it, because I felt like I was like 5 years behind in and like learning the game. I don't know. I just feel like I just didn't have enough time to really learn and be competitive at it. So my plan for Warcraft 3 was the moment it came out, I would just start playing it as much as I can. And I just try and be the best in Australia at it. And that's kind of where my ambition ended with Warcraft 3. Though I did become the Australian champion for quite a few years. I I just wanted to be the best in Oz, and I was comfortable with that while I was growing up. And yeah, I succeeded in it.
So you pretty much took kind of Warcraft 3 serious from the start, did you not?
Mm. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Do you think that? I mean, looking back, are there any negative side effects of that that you can see? Like, did you enjoy playing the game, or did you just play it because you thought that you could do really well in it?
I enjoyed playing it. It was a really fun game. It's very unique to any other RTS game out there. It kind of led the way for a lot of other RTSs. And yeah, it was. I felt like it was a very positive thing, though it was during my high school years, so I guess bad for grades. But I started traveling out of it. I did my first trip to America because of Warcraft 3 back in 2004 to San Francisco, and that was a huge life experience for me. And yeah, ever since I've been grateful that I've been doing it.
Do you remember your first big match in Warcraft 3, and what was that like? And this could be online, or it could also be kind of in person at a LAN somewhere.
First big match.
Or I guess the one that you remember the most if you can't remember the very first.
I can't remember the very first, but I can remember the one I was most nervous for in Warcraft 3 throughout all my years. That was when I played this other Australian who was like my main rival. Like we had been talking so much shit online, and we'd never actually played like at a LAN before. And his name was Mouse Philbot. He is actually part of Mouse. He was pretty good way back in the day, and it was 2004, and it was the Australian WCG Grand Finals, me against Philbot. I whooped his ass 2-0, and I was so nervous, but it was the happiest, one of my happiest victories and fondest memories. Destroying a pro gamer who was in Mouse. I was in some, I don't think I was even in a team at the time. I was this dude that would step up, and we talked a lot of shit back then because we were both kids. Yeah, so that was my biggest match in Warcraft 3.
Did you ever kind of venture into the global scene? I mean, in terms of like playing I guess the grubbies of the world or any other Korean players, did you have a lot of success against everyone else outside?
Um, I did okay now and then. The very first time I went in 2004, I kind of had I broke out of like the group stage. I beat some top Europeans, and I kind of got to like the round of 32 or something. And that was really good for me. It was like my very first international trip and everything. I kind of handled it very well. But probably my biggest win would be Grubby. I beat him in 2008, my very last year. Uh, I beat him in a best of one in the WCG group stages. So that was my biggest win by far. And the moment I beat him, I just got up out of my seat and I just told the referee, "I just beat Grubby." And this guy just like laughed at me, and I'm just like, "I can't believe it." And that was, yeah, I was ecstatic for that. Unbelievable. I played like the perfect game. Yeah, so that was probably my biggest win. But I beat a Korean named Hu. I have beaten the Muslim before, and some other guys during my WCG trips. But nothing insanely huge like Groby.
Didn't even ask. What race did you play in Warcraft 3?
I played Night Elf.
Okay, of
Yeah,
course,
yeah,
naturally.
naturally, they were pretty good. They were one of the top races to play. It was either that or Orc. But Orc kind of made me want to quit the game after 2008 because Blade Master and whatnot just kind of ruined it for me. I feel like, yeah, Orc was definitely the strongest at the end. And it was pretty much my main reason for quitting the game. I didn't enjoy it anymore because of that.
Well, prior to that statement, I was going to say you look back kind of fondly at Warcraft 3, right? That was a good
Yeah.
time.
Oh, yeah. I loved it. I loved it up until I kind of quit. Well, it wasn't just because I hated playing Orc. It was also WCG stopped having Warcraft 3 in Australia.
Mm.
And I was just like, well, there's no more tournaments for this game, so I'll kind of just take a break, stop playing for a while. And after that, I pretty much just worked until Starcraft 2 came out.
Where did you work? What'd you do? Just normal
Uh,
everyday type work?
it was a bit different. I was a quality assurance for back then it was called Creative Assembly, then noted called Sega Australia.
Mm.
And so I kind of I was pretty much testing games for 2 years, just playing the same game every day, and I learned a lot about how much you can hate playing games if you're in the gaming industry. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, when
Can
I got
you
home, I just
can you talk about like what game that you had to
yeah,
play? What'd you have
I
to
was
play?
yeah, I had to play Storm Riders. It's a RTS game on the console. It had its own kind of interesting kind of mechanics as to how you select units and macro and all this sort of stuff. A lot more unique and a lot, I think, quite better than most other sort of RTS games in console. But it was kind of poorly made and had a lot of bugs when it came out. So it was never going to take off. It was kind of a write-off for the company. But I became the best in it. I was the world champion of it when we had an in-house tournament. It was me and the friend that got me the job. Used to be a Warcraft 3 competitive player named Paz back in the day, and yeah, he got me. He actually got me the job, and yeah, we were very competitive at it. But it was a bloody bad game, man. And after that, I did a bit of testing for probably 6 months of the 2012, I think it was, Olympics. And that was interesting, but not my kind of game. So yeah, it wasn't very fun. But yeah, uh, I learned a lot being quality assurance and how much you can hate playing games after that kind of job. It's just ridiculous. So when StarCraft 2 came out, I decided I was done with working, especially with working in quality assurance, and I really got back full swing of gaming, and I really wanted to make another good go at StarCraft 2 because pretty much it was the exact same kind of plan I had with Warcraft 3. I wanted to jump on at the start, so I wasn't behind it all and kind of play it as competitively as I can. But this time, I actually wanted to be a pro gamer. I didn't just want to be competitive at it. I wanted the full job. I wanted to be a pro gamer. I wanted to make a living off it. I wanted to travel for it as much as I could. So that was pretty much my goal.
Kind of backtracking. No more QA from mOOnGLaDe ever. Can we get that statement?
Yeah, no more QA.
Okay.
Especially you don't want to QA games that you might like in the future. So
Oh
like
yeah.
don't ever QA for Blizzard because the game's gonna come out and you're gonna fucking hate that game, man. And even if it's like Starcraft Legacy of the Void, if you're QAing that, I feel sorry for you because you just don't want to play it.
There you go. There you go. True words from mOOnGLaDe. So, kind of transitioning out of Warcraft 3 and going to Starcraft 2, kind of you already have, but looking back at Warcraft 3 and comparing it to Starcraft 2, do you miss Warcraft 3 at all, or are you kind of happy with Starcraft 2?
I kind of miss the aspects of Warcraft 3. Like I used to enjoy heroes a lot, having like the level of importance you have for micro and kind of like creeping. You have to have there's so many aspects in Warcraft 3 that you'd never see in another sort of RTS game. Killing creeps and getting items. The items were kind of the luck factor in Warcraft 3, which I didn't really appreciate much. Like you can get either a great item or a shit item, and that can really dictate the start of the game. Or and yeah, there's all those kind of things I kind of miss in StarCraft 2, but StarCraft 2 has its own kind of interesting mechanics with how fast and clean everything is and how well you control your army and what decisions you make and when. So they're both very different, but I definitely am looking forward to a Warcraft 4 if there is going to be one. I'd probably make the switch depending on where I am, but I would like to.
Well, when you first jumped in to you played the beta, right? Before you didn't just jump straight into retail for StarCraft 2?
Nah, I played thousands of games on beta. I was probably one of the few players that played more than anyone else.
When you first jumped into it, kind of coming off of this huge Warcraft 3 era of your life, what were your first impressions of it?
But it was very, very macro based. Yeah, it's pretty much mechanically just so much harder. To be honest, I actually did play a lot of Brood War on the side before StarCraft 2 came out, and just after I finished with Warcraft 3. Kind of like while I was working, after about a year of work, I got into practicing like some Brood War just to get ready for StarCraft 2. So I used to play on ICUP, and I got to like beat minus before I quit. But yeah, so I was kind of preparing myself mechanically for StarCraft 2. Though when StarCraft 2 came out, it wasn't as mechanic dependent or hardcore as Brood War was, because the interface was obviously a great deal better. But yeah, I came into it kind of had an idea what to expect, so it wasn't a huge surprise. And I think I had pretty good macro for a Warcraft 3 player that transitioned over. And yeah, the hardest thing in the world to learn was just lava injecting with the Queen. That was something that did my head in a lot. It's really a hard mechanic to get your head around and to just remember to do every 30 seconds. But I think I adapted pretty well. And yeah, I did get my name out there a bit in the beta. I did play a lot of Americans, and yeah, I beat a lot of decent people.
What kind of drew you to play Zerg in StarCraft 2? Was it just something that you kind of knew already and you thought, why not?
Yeah, I always played Zerg and Brood War. It was kind of just my favorite race. I love alien units, and there's like a swarm kind of feel to them, which is like overwhelming, and they look so cool when you win with them compared to the other races, in my opinion. So yeah, it wasn't really much of a choice. It was just like, yeah, I'm gonna beat Zerg no matter what, and they were pretty strong, which also helps a lot. So yeah, I was pretty much knew what I was gonna do from the start.
So you mentioned the Queen kind of being a hurdle to wrap your head around. Were there any other hurdles when you first started out with StarCraft 2 that you had to overcome mentally?
Hurdles. No, it was kind of just actually going from the pathing of Warcraft 3 and Brood War to StarCraft 2 pathing was actually kind of hard too, because in StarCraft 2 all the units automatically bunch up together, which makes like area of effect stuff 100 times better than it was in StarCraft 1, for instance. Like everything kind of just melded together. Like if you had 100 Zerglings, they'd all come in a nice big pack. So if you wanted to move them all, it became a bit more tricky. And I never liked it at first. I actually really, really hated the pathing and the units, how they collisioned in StarCraft 2. But I eventually got used to it. I just played so much.
Were there any bad habits, as a player that you tried to work out in StarCraft 2, whether that was just kind of where you were looking on the screen or just bad like mouse skills or bad keyboard skills or anything like that?
I guess like the trait I brought from Warcraft 3 was that I always watched my army and I never kind of went back home to macro because I always wanted to micro everything to perfection as you kind of have to do in Warcraft 3. So that was probably my biggest problem because I never took myself away from the fight to macro properly. And another problem was probably just I love to mass roach. And then I love to mass muter. So I kind of have like this one unit that I just love to mass. As you can see from probably any games that I've played against any race in the last like year, I very much love mutalisks now. And before that, it used to be roaches. So I do have this trend of like really enjoying a unit too much and just kind of going for it. And it works, but I guess I should be a bit more variating in my play.
Talking balance for a bit, how do you feel about the current balance of the game?
I think Terran is very strong. I think Protoss is pretty strong, and I think there's Zerg, which kind of remained the same but with a couple of extra units. I feel like Zerg didn't really get any kind of improvement, really. I mean, we're better to do better dealing against like Terran mech, and like uh, I guess we're doing pretty alright with Protoss against Protoss with Swarm hosts these days, but it kind of feels like we just remained the same. Where like Terran got these sweet new upgrades, they got faster medivacs, they got Widow Mines, which completely changed the game, and then they got Hellbats, which also completely changed the game. And Protoss got Oracles, which are very useful, Tempests, which are okay, and a Mothership Core, which is insanely good. So I kind of feel like we got the short end of the stick when it came out, and it did make it a whole lot harder for Zerg players. I do think Terran is better than Zerg, that's for sure. Widow Mines is such an easy unit to use and such an easy, such a game changer if Zerg is careless at all. That's kind of how I feel about the balance at the moment. I think Zerg's got it tough, but I mean we can still win, but it's just a lot harder for us now, which is probably a good thing because in Wings of Liberty we were the strongest. But I don't think it means that we have to be punished for it in Heart of the Swarm. And I feel like it's a damn shame that we didn't get any kind of mainstream changes to our units that we can really enjoy. I mean, we did get Hydra speed, which is useful, but Hydras are still Hydras. They still have no HP and can die very quickly, and so you can't use them all the time or as effective against pretty much any race. They have their place, but yeah, it's not as mainstream as a medivac with speed boost or anything like that.
If you had to rank the three races, would you say Zerg's in last? Because that's kind of what I took away from how you were discussing
Uh,
balance.
I would put Terran, and I'd probably put Protoss and Zerg tied. To be fair, I wouldn't say
Okay.
we're the weakest because I'd just be too biased with myself. That's just no one's going to believe me then. But I do think Terran is the strongest, 100%.
Well, talking about your accolades in StarCraft 2, for you personally, what's kind of been your proudest moment, your biggest win, the moment that you kind of always look back and be like, man, I was really good at that stage of my career.
I was very probably one of my greatest wins was in front of an Australian audience when I won WCS Oceania last year. That was a huge win for me, and it was crazy there because I had a whole full audience, and after I won, my team picked me up and carried me through the audience while I was high fiving everyone like a champion. So that was a very fun memory of me. That was a good win. Besides that, I'm very proud of how I've done against especially Korean Terrans. I don't know how many people follow kind of my results against Koreans, but I actually did pretty well. I mean, I've beaten MC, I've beaten Bomber, I've beaten I forget a lot of their names, but I beat a lot of Koreans, especially Korean Terrans, which is kind of weird because they're this kind of like the strong guys. Uh, so I have a lot of wins like that. I'm very proud of, and it's weird because I do lose to Europeans more than I lose to Koreans. Doesn't make sense. But yeah, I do have a lot of wins like that. But Oceania was probably my proudest moment.
Now, you spent a lot of time in Korea back when the GSL was kind of in its heyday as the GSL. What were those times like? Did you enjoy living in the FXO team house?
Well, I actually stayed in the GOM house
Oh,
back
the
then.
GOM house, right.
Yeah, it was kind of like it kind of turned into the FXO team house at one point. But
Right.
it was interesting. Um, I honestly can't say it was my happiest moments living in Korea because it was so foreign. It was so no one speaks English, and I was kind of very lonely there. I think a lot of foreigners kind of get that problem when they go over to Korea. They kind of get lonely and sad and depressed, and it's very easy to miss home from there unless you have like a good support system over there. So for me, it was a great experience. I learned a lot, and practice was awesome because zero ping on the Korean ladder is obviously insanely awesome. But yeah, I wasn't keen to go back after that trip. It took me a while to get over that, and I did get crushed in GSL then. But yeah, I think I'd love to go back as long as maybe I went with someone else and there was a good support system there and probably a house that was looked after because when I was in the gum house, it wasn't really looked after at all. We didn't have a maid or anything like that. We had to clean up for ourselves. Obviously, we had no vacuum cleaner or anything, and we had to find food. So yeah, not my best experience, but definitely one I learned from.
How would you say you kind of grew as a player with your time in Korea? Was that one of the best times for you to grow as a player, or because of all the other extraneous things going on that it was actually really tough?
It was really tough, but I did grow a lot. I went to IEM Hanover while I was in Korea, and I kicked ass there and got fourth. That was probably one of my best results internationally. So I did set me up for a good tournament, but mentally after that I was pretty shattered for a while, and I just wanted to go home after that. So it was a mixed bag that Korea trip. I think it would be a lot better now. Now that I'm probably more well known, and I do have contacts over there that I could talk to if I needed anything. Yeah, back then it was interesting.
Prior to going to Korea, did you have an understanding that StarCraft 2 is that much of a mental game that you kind of have to enter into it with a good mental place, or
It's
did you
probably
learn that?
I learned that. I think I really learned that you cannot play a good StarCraft game if you're upset or you're just not in a good place. It can 100% dictate how you play, and maybe it's not that way for some players. Probably not as much for Korean players because they can be like robots in a lot of their tournaments. But especially for a foreign player, if you're upset over anything or you're just feeling down, it can directly affect your play. So I learned that a lot.
Let's talk about some of your relationships with other StarCraft 2 players in terms of rivalries. Do you have a particular rival that maybe they don't know it, but kind of in your head, whenever you play that guy, you're like, oh, not this son of a bitch again?
Yeah, I definitely have some back in Australia. I kind of consider anyone that's can beat me or has a chance of beating me or has beaten me before as like a big rival in Australia. I'm like, I gotta beat down this motherfucker. I gotta take him out. I can't lose to him. And so I got like probably from my history, probably like Pig, Mafia, uh, Igaz. Those those three are probably my biggest rivals. I kind of look at them and I'm just like, I got to beat these guys. And that's probably, yeah, those three guys probably the ones that I really feel like I have to beat. Internationally, uh, I can't say I really have one. It's not really one person I've played a lot that I feel like has my number or someone that we compete a lot in tournaments together. Yeah.
Well, in terms of kind of who do you go to for advice? Do you have we had Suppy on here last Real Talk, and he was talking that he kind of had this group of Zergs that he always goes to in Skype and just kind of shoots balance or strategies or ideas off. Do you have kind of a support group like that when it comes to StarCraft 2?
I sometimes talk to my team, like my teammate Rossi and my teammate Death. They're two Terran players. If I kind of have questions about that, but usually. Usually, I just if I have a question, I'll answer it on Korean ladder eventually. So I usually just play a lot of Korean ladder to kind of work through everything that I need. I used to have a friend that I used to turn to a lot. He's from Brisbane, and he is very knowledgeable, but we haven't really discussed much StarCraft in quite a while. So yeah, I don't really have that many practice partners or anyone I really turn to as much as other people. I definitely do favor laddering on career a lot. If you have enough time, I feel like you can kind of cover everything. But yeah, mostly Korean ladder.
Would you say that your practice regime is basically just playing ladder on the Korean server? Is that the best practice for you, in your opinion?
I'd say 80% Korean ladder. Yeah, I think it's the best for me. I feel like I can really work stuff out eventually. Like unless I'm really focusing on a certain matchup, or if I just don't understand it at all and I need a lot of help, I'll seek help from a practice partner. But usually it's just Korean ladder. If you play like a 600 to 1,000 games in a season, you're pretty much at the peak of your game by the end. And I feel like that's how I prepared for a lot of tournaments overseas. And I'm pretty sure that's why I can beat Korean players more than I can beat European and foreign players. Is because I just play them on the ladder all the time. So I kind of understand the meta game and how they play a lot more than I do to foreigners.
Have you ever tried like playing? I mean, I guess the ping is the biggest reason why you haven't tried playing on the other two servers, right?
I can play on North America pretty well. It's actually the same ping as Korea.
Right.
And last season I played in North America a bit, but I feel like it just doesn't prepare you the same as it does as career. Like career, you're gonna lose a lot no matter what, and
Right.
there's so many different players, and there's so many good players, and obviously like laddering on NA and Europe, you're gonna hit the same top players all the time. I've never tried playing on Europe because it's pretty much like 400 to 600 ping,
Ouch.
so yeah, just never gonna play that one.
We're kind of wrapping up this segment. What would you say your greatest strength as a player is? Like, what do you do that no one else does like you do?
Hmm. Micro Mulisks is probably my strongest suit. I do play a good ZVT. I think I'm very strong at ZVT when I'm in the full swing of practice and I'm feeling confident. And what was the other question? My greatest feat and my worst?
Yeah, I mean, what's your most vulnerable asset? Like, what do you always feel that not maybe what causes you to lose, but feel like people can kind of pinpoint in your play as your biggest weakness?
Does it have to be my play? Can it be
Oh, it can be anything. It can
perhaps
be your biggest weakness in StarCraft 2. That's a nice broad
my?
question.
I would say my biggest weakness would be traveling from Australia and dealing with jet lag because I have incredible sleeping problems when I travel. Um, and I think that's something that really attributes to probably the later half of any tournament I play in is I'm so tired and destroyed and feeling like complete shit that I do end up playing pretty badly at a point because yeah, that's probably my biggest weakness and biggest problem that I haven't overcome yet, whether it be by getting some really powerful sleeping tablets or something, or just simply moving out of Australia. But that is my number one factor in playing terribly.
Well, to ask kind of a heavy question, do you still find StarCraft 2 like fun on a day-to-day basis, or do you treat it more as a job these days?
I do find it fun, but I do find that I need more and more breaks these days. As after 3 years of playing, I do find that I do need to have a good break now and then. Otherwise, I do end up really just not enjoying the game at all. Uh, yeah, I'm kind of at that stage at the moment where I just need a good break because I just can't bring myself to play it. I'm just finding it very frustrating, and after all my traveling and tournaments recently, it's just like I need a good week off or something before I really start hitting practice hard again and getting ready for my next tournament.
All right. Well, that actually does it for part two. Coming up next, we will be talking a little bit more about kind of the Australian esports scene, what it means to kind of be an Australian in the esports scene, and then of course wrapping up with just some more general questions. So guys, thank you for watching. This has been Real Talk. Make sure to check out part number 3 coming up tomorrow on YouTube. We'll see you guys later. We're out.